On today's PMEA's Take Note podcast, we are talking about some free resources that you can use to teach your students about the music products industry. On today's PMEA's Take Note podcast. Well, everybody, I'm Mark Despotakis. Welcome to this edition of PMEA's Take Note podcast. And today we're talking about one of the coolest places you could possibly go to visit if you love music, you love music gear, you love music education, you love anything about music. We're going to talk about this really cool place that I'm going to tell you all to go visit. But then we're going to talk about a really cool thing that you can do to add it to your classroom. So that's my tease, but let's actually get into the conversation. And I'm delighted to bring in Carolyn Grant. She is the executive director of the Museum of Making Music. Carolyn, thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's my sincere pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
So you're out in Carlsbad, California, and I've been where you are right now, and I am just jealous because I know outside of those windows are the beautiful Carlsbad flower fields and the beautiful Pacific Ocean. So I'm just jealous of all of you that get to work in that building.
Well, we feel very fortunate, believe me.
So and when I say that as a little bit of a tease. So the Museum of Making Music is in the NAMM Industry headquarters in Carlsbad, California. And so people might have heard of this museum. There's other museums of music type things, but this one is pretty unique. So you're the expert on it. So rather than me botch the explanation, let's have you explain it. Tell us about the museum, kind of its history and the evolution over time.
Oh, sure. Well, yes, I'll say I've been here, let's see, 27, if not going on 28 years. I've been here since the very beginning, before we even opened to the public. But yes, I will tell you, the Museum of Making Music is the NAMM Museum. So it is the museum. We are housed here in the global headquarters of NAMM. We are on the first floor of NAMM headquarters. And we originally came to be because NAMM was approaching its centennial. From 1901 to 2001, those were the first 100 years of NAMM. NAMM is one of the oldest trade associations in the United States. So concurrently with this centennial coming up, NAMM was building a new headquarters building. So it was decided to put in a museum on the first floor of the new building to honor 100 years of service to the industry. So that is the original concept of the museum. It was intended to be a museum that industry members could come see when they visit NAMM headquarters. And Sherry West was hired as you might recognize West Music. It is Sherry West, the sister of Steve West. She was the original executive director, and she was the one that researched and put this original museum together and opened it to the industry in 1998. Shortly after being opened as an industry museum, the local community became involved. I came on board as well in 1998, and there was a great amount of interest in this story and in this museum in our communities. So Sherry went back and got all the necessary permissions to open this museum to the public. And so in March of 2000, actually it was March 3rd of 2000, was the first big celebration, which is actually my birthday as well.
Yeah.
So it was serendipitous. We opened to the public in March of 2000. And it was shortly after that, Sherry moved on. She created another museum down the street of gemology. So she was able to apply her talents there. I stayed here and have been here ever since. And so that's how we opened to the public. And we've been open ever since. We are one of San Diego's destination spots. Our industry museum is of great interest to tourists, local community, industry members, musicians, students, teachers, and we've just grown and grown and grown since then. So that's how we came to be. I will say, after the first about 15 or say 18 years probably, we really felt that we were ready for a renovation. The world had changed tremendously from 1998 to 2018, as you can imagine. A whole new generation. There was lots of new technology. And we just decided it was time to renovate. So we raised the money from our community to completely renovate the museum. And we did that in 2000 during COVID. We renovated and we reopened in June of 21. And we took off like wildfire since then as well. And so that renovation, we infused more diversity into our exhibitions and our displays. We got away from a chronological approach to a thematic approach. That thematic approach, we now explore our industry and share the stories of the people and products that bring music to our world through four main themes. That is, making the instruments, exploring the drivers of change that have influenced musical instrument manufacturing and making since the beginning. Then we explore the providing of the instruments, the selling of the instruments, the retail side of our industry. Then we explore the using of the instruments, so all that whole magical world. And then finally, the visitor leaves with a theme of beyond the instruments, when instruments really surpass their physical selves and become catalysts for change. They become sources of solace, objects of beauty, and kind of leave the visitor with a broad something to think about, I guess, is what I would say.
Yeah, I have been lucky enough to have been through the museum many times prior to this most recent renovation, and every time I would go through, I always find something new. No matter how many times I've been there was always something new and exciting. And now that you're telling me about this new renovation, I just love this, especially that last piece of the catalyst part. That is so cool. So I need to take my own advice and get back out there.
Yes, I hope you do. Would love
and see this for sure. But but what's really also so cool is, and this is much of the community thing, I guess, is this is also a performance space, a community space for performance. How many times I've been to NAMM for a meeting and I hear this music happening, and it's a community group. Tell us about that, and how that's kind of mixed into the whole DNA.
Well, what's so beautiful about a museum about musical instruments is that we have so many opportunities to bring this museum to life. I mean, it's our responsibility to bring music to life. We are the museum of making music. So early on, we started to put all this programming together. And I'd say we started with a volunteer program. We've got 65 volunteers. We've had hundreds of volunteers over the years. And then we branched out into being a tour, to being a place where student tours can come and visit. We get, 6,000 to 8,000 students a year that come here. We actually have a program where we offer free transportation, free admission, and free comeback coupons for students from Title I schools in our area in Southern California. So that took off like wildfire, and that's been going strong for 20 years. And then we put together a special exhibition series. So we carved out spaces for that. And then we put together a adult band and orchestra program. We were looking for a real niche for our adult population. And we found that there was a true niche. We were inspired by the New Horizons Band program that was launched by Roy Ernst. And we created our own New Horizons Band program. I think back in 2003 or 4. That is going, that's just extremely popular. We've got over 100 people in those bands. And then I was inspired. I was learning cello by myself. I was a pianist, and then I switched to cello. And I wondered if I could do the same thing, same type of thing for orchestral stringed instruments, so violin, viola, cello, bass. And so I started an orchestra and the niche is it's people that, yes, have never played, but also it's for people that are, early career or mid-career that played in, high school and at university, but then got into their career and now miss it. And so are coming back mid-career to play. So we have an orchestra program. We've got 2 beginner sections, an intermediate and an advanced. And we've got 100 people in that program as well. So that is, I would say, of all of our programs, it has just been a true inspiration to see all these people making music in a non-competitive environment, but everybody's so self-motivated that, we compete with ourselves, right, as adults. So that's been great. And then, as you mentioned, Mark, and thank you for saying DNA, because if you don't mind, I'm going to use that. Programming is in our DNA. And the performance series, I feel, is extremely important to our museum. The making music live and dedicating one's life to making music and to sharing that lifetime of work with an audience is a key element to our messaging. And so we used to do a concert a week before COVID. We were very busy with our concert series. Now we're at about one a month, maybe 2 a month. And this is an opportunity. We have a small performance space. It's 150 people can be seated there. Pretty small stage. We do solo, duo, trio, quartet, sometimes up to 8 people on the stage. But it's an opportunity for our audience members, our members, people from the general public, to experience live music making in an intimate environment where they really get to interact with the performer. They get to hear how the performer first started, playing music, and why they started, and who was important, along their trajectory, and what it's like playing in a band, and what is all this gear on the stage. Why are they sweating? I mean, how do they communicate with one another when they're on stage? It is the opportunity that I grew up wishing I had, right? Just that up close excitement of seeing people working and performing for you in a space. So we choose our performers very carefully. We choose performers that love interacting with audiences, love hanging out afterwards, and we've had a wide array of performances here. So the programming side brings this museum even more to life, and it's a joy for all of us.
Yeah, and so let me give a little bit of a plug. I mean, not that I already have it, but I'll give another plug. And I don't know if I ever told you this, Carolyn. So years ago, when I was teaching with a high school marching band, we brought them to California on the traditional band trip, right? But the kind of the big deal of the trip was we were performing at the NAMM show. So we marched right down Convention Way.
Oh, yeah.
We're outside of the opening doors of the convention. It was awesome. And, we did the Disneyland stuff and San Diego Zoo, but we also brought the band one evening to the museum. And we had dinner there, and then the students were able to go and also tour the museum. And I was blown away by how many students said that was just their highlight of the trip. They were on the NAMM show floor. They were at Disneyland with Mickey Mouse. They were at the San Diego Zoo, but they said it was just so cool to get this understanding, and kind of feel this connection.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was such a cool thing to hear from high school students. So I imagine you hear stories like that all the time.
Well, I really appreciate you saying that. That just really gave me chills. I must say that the first time I stepped foot into this museum back in 1998, I felt like finally, there was a place that loved music as much as I did, and honored it and shared it. And I just felt like the whole world became like I became valid somehow because you see other people honoring the thing that you honor the most. And I'm not alone in this, and other people are in this with me, and there's a community, and I've met my family, right? I
Hmm.
really had that feeling, and I do see that reaction from a lot of people, like, oh wow. And it's such a fresh perspective. It's a different door into the world of making music.
Yeah.
So many times, it's wonderful to see, the performer side and the celebrity side. That's wonderful. It's an important part of our world. And there's also this other side, this behind the scenes side. These people that are want to make the best tool possible for people to use to express themselves. And that is a powerful message. These businesses are art forms as well. Entrepreneurs, engineers, creative thinkers. I mean, these are the people behind all of these musical instruments that we get to play every day. And it's a universe that's rich. I think a lot of people have said this, and I agree. It's the music products industry is like, it's huge, and it's also so small.
Hmm.
We all
Yeah.
kind of have the same. There's something in us that's very similar, whether we make instruments, sell instruments, photograph instruments, perform, teach. There's some commonality there, and it's music,
Right.
and it runs deep.
Yeah. Love that. Love that way that you summed that up. So, you guys have taken the next step a little bit. You've evolved a little bit even further, and now there is a curriculum that you have put together. Tease us about this. Tell us about what this is and how educators can access this, because you're making this available for everybody.
Sure, yes, we are very excited, and I have to give uh, a it's deep thanks to John Malinzak. He started as our CEO here a couple of years ago now, and he walked through the museum, and the first time he goes, teachers need to know about this. How do we reach out? And so with those few words, we devised a plan. We worked with Sarah Gulish at F Flat Books, and she has a team of writers and educators, and we worked with them. We provided all of the information about the museum, all of the different themes that we explore, from the need to be heard to instruments changing as they travel around the world, to music at home and the role of music in the home, to finding one's own instrument. What level, what type of instrument matches the person. All these different themes we shared with Sarah and her team, and they took that information and turned it into, let's see, it's 16, I think it's six. They turned it into a package of lessons for elementary and high school.
Wow.
Yeah. And so if you don't mind, I'd like to just kind of review a couple of lessons.
Absolutely.
I chose one from the elementary grades and one from the secondary grades. And first of all, I will say that the name of the whole program is called Making Music Happen. Um, because we wanted to drive home this fact that it's the tools that enable music to happen in our hands, in the hands of wonderful people. So here's one. It's called "I Will Survive: Ingenuity in the Music Industry." And some of the essential questions are: how do humans innovate and persevere in the midst of crisis? How can music retailers adapt and face economic challenges? And why is critical thinking needed in the retail side of our music industry? Um,
Small questions, right?
oh, easily answered, right? I mean, my heavens, who doesn't know those answers?
Yeah.
And so some of the student learning outcomes are: identify a challenging historical moment, create an innovative solution, um, and then apply lesson content to problems in other disciplines. That's a few of them. And then there's a whole PowerPoint presentation. So the teacher gets the PowerPoint presentation that they can present to their students, and they themselves can learn about this topic. And then so that's the lesson introduction. And then there's a lesson activity. In this particular lesson, it's a 35-minute activity. Then there's a wrap up and assessment. And then there's some extensions and adaptations. And finally, in every single lesson, there is a spotlight on careers in music. So we talk about what careers were highlighted in this lesson that we just did. So it opens up the world of music making from a different perspective. So that was an elementary one. Secondary one, it's called, the one I chose is called Innovation and Creativity in Musical Instruments. It's for upper secondary grades. It's for a 60-minute music class. And some essential questions are, why do people make changes to musical instruments?
Okay.
How does society influence the innovation of musical instruments? And why is innovation important in the field of music? And there's national standards that it connects to, and then student learning outcomes, some specifics. For example, explain how modern DJs embrace creativity and innovation. Describe the innovative changes made to a variety of instruments. And then again, there's a lesson introduction, a lesson activity, 45-minute activity, and then some assessment, some adaptations and extensions, and then spotlight on careers. So each lesson is a world unto itself.
Yeah.
And we're so excited. And it's free.
Can't beat that, right?
Completely free. Downloadable. Everything's downloadable. The lesson plans, the PowerPoint presentations, the activity sheets, everything.
How do people get this?
Okay, so this is available on our website. So that is museumofmakingmusic.org. And it is museumofmakingmusic.org/education/curriculum.
Great.
Yeah.
And we'll link that on the screen. We'll put the link in the description of all the podcasts if you're listening to us, so you'll be able to find that. Yeah.
So we're very, very excited to launch that. And it's just the beginning. Once you do it once, then you have all these new ideas of other things that you can do.
Yeah. And as I'm sitting here, as I'm listening to you to explain some of these, I'm thinking, this is actually good stuff for people who work in the industry. A lot of people might know, like, I worked in the industry before I came to PMEA, and just some of these big questions are things that I think people in the industry would want to know about, but also learning that history piece is, the more you know about your history, then, that helps you in the future. So there might be something there to add that on for some retailers who might want to do it. But I just think it's just an amazing thing to do the outreach. And then this careers piece, NAM has been working on this careers in music initiative, which has been so successful. Which we probably should do a podcast on that as well.
Absolutely.
But to tie it into this is just so incredibly smart, because, just because you're in a band or orchestra choir class doesn't, and you love music, that doesn't mean that performing has to be your career or teaching has to be your career. There are so many other things in the industry that you can be around music and be fulfilled. You and I are examples of that.
Absolutely. And we don't want to lose people out of the world of music, right? We want to keep, these wonderful students that are in band and orchestra, choir, and taking private lessons. We want these people to stay in our industry. We want to show them the opportunities that are here. So it's an important initiative, and beyond having it in this curriculum, we're also, one of our main strategic initiatives this next year in the museum is to take every display in the museum and interpret it from the careers side. So what careers are represented, so lots to do.
All right, so I anticipate now, I expect that we'll have an influx of Pennsylvania folks and music programs coming out there. I cannot recommend it enough to go to the museum and see it. And then find this curriculum, go on the website, find some ways that you can incorporate this into your programs. And this is great stuff.
Oh, thank you.
Carolyn, thank you for all that you have done. I've known you for many years as I've seen the museum evolve. And, I know you're behind so much of that. Thank you for all of that work. And for now, all of this work, you and your team on creating this curriculum and doing so much. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Mark. Thank you so much for your words of support and your enthusiasm for this project and for the museum in general. It means the world to us. Thank you.
Well, thank you again, and thank you for being here. And I plan to be there as soon as possible because I want to see the revisions in person. So, Carolyn, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you.
And thank you all for joining us on this edition of PMEA's Take Note podcast. We will see you next time.